We now have our 10th named tropical system in the Atlantic of 2025. That is, of course, Tropical Storm Jerry. As of 11 a.m., this has organized enough where it has winds of 45 miles per hour moving towards the west at a pretty decent pace of 24 miles per hour and is expected to become a Category 1 hurricane as it nears the Caribbean, right around Antigua and Barbuda. You could be looking at maybe some tropical storm strength conditions if it stayed on this current track. Now, of course, if it intensified or even wavered a little bit further towards the west, this would bring them more so into the fold here in the Caribbean. But definitely something you need to watch closely. Now, most guidance does continue to show this churning out to sea and off towards the north, nearing Bermuda, or at least staying just towards the east of Bermuda. But there is definitely a range of uncertainty, especially in that extended outlook. Right now, though, I mean, this is strengthening up pretty quickly, and I think that Cat 1 status might be on the lower end of the intensification spectrum. And what I mean by that is you got good outflow aloft. You can see that here towards the north. This is moving into an area where sea surface temperatures around 80 to 85 degrees, so plenty of fuel for this. And it's got some moisture to tap into as it moves further towards the west. It's kind of escaping a lot of this dry air we're seeing just off towards the north and east, and that's part of the Saharan dust layer. So as it moves towards the west and away from that, that will allow it to get into this area that is more favorable for this to kind of grow up here. So here's a look at our spaghetti plots, and you can see the general consensus is of it turning towards the north with a passing trough that's going to be dipping down, kind of a front and a low developing on off of the east coast of Florida. That's going to kind of drive this towards the north and east. So I'm not terribly concerned about this impact in the East Coast. Granted, this is warning number 1, and, things can change. It could, in the worst case scenario and very, very, very unlikely scenario, stay towards the south and kind of head out towards the Caribbean where there's a lot of energy. But at least for now, it looks like this is going to make that northerly turn. So the Caribbean should watch closely, especially parts of the Windward and Leeward Islands, maybe over towards Puerto Rico, but no direct impacts on Florida or the East Coast in general, while Bermuda needs to continue to monitor this in that long-range outlook. And I was talking about, that trough kind of dipping down and pulling this towards the north, and you can even see this here, another low trying to develop off the east coast of Florida per the ECMWF model. See that right there? Now, this would be by this coming weekend, Friday into Saturday. And if this did develop, it would definitely be a big wind maker along the east coast, but it also would be more of a subtropical, meaning that instead of a warm core low, kind of a mix of a cold core and supported by the jet stream. Jet stream equals a lot of shear, which is not conducive for full-on tropical systems. So even if Jerry did want to venture a little bit further towards the coastline, it would be ripped apart by this jet. With that said, I mean, if a new low did develop, it still would bring some gusty conditions up and down the east coast here on Friday over towards Saturday. Look at this. That would be a rough weather for the Outer Banks. So, yeah, still watching that. It's that time of year, though, where our attention, at least for impacts on Florida and the East Coast, starts to change more towards the Caribbean. And that's why I mentioned if something did develop out there, we would want to watch it very closely. There is one area with a 10% chance, but it doesn't have a lot of time for development. Still could be a big rainmaker for parts of Mexico, including around the Kamchatka Peninsula, including around the peninsula here, and yeah, big rainmaker. Anyways, I'm meteorologist Robert Spett. Always doing my best to keep you guys posted with these updates, not trying to hype, just being transparent, give you the latest information about what's happening out here. And of course, today, now we have our newly named Tropical Storm Jerry.